What's up, everyone? My name is Caden Chamberlain, and I'm sure some of you are wondering where I've been. I'm not sure how many of you guys saw the post that I made on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure how many of you are subscribed to my Instagram, my Facebook, all that stuff. I'm not sure how many of you follow me or not subscribed to follow me on there. But for those of you that don't know, I broke my ankle in two spots a little over a month ago, and it's been a little rough. So, to start off with the story.
Also, everyone, I just want to let you guys know that this video is the entire story of how I broke my ankle. So not only did I break it in one spot, but I also broke it in two spots, as I explain after this. But just know this entire video is the whole story of how I broke my ankle and everything that I went through, and my thought process and all that. My thought process and all that, and everything that I went through, all the feelings, all that stuff. That's what this whole video is about. So that's the reason why this video is so long. So if you watch this whole video, thank you so much, and I'm very sorry for it being so long, but I decided I'd tell the whole story instead of just telling you guys I broke my ankle in two spots. So without further ado, let's get into the video, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Before I start showing these photos of what it looked like and whatnot, I had a race, and it always starts with something, race, practice, whatever. I had a race on the 250. It was my third race. It was gonna be my third race on the 250, and things weren't going too bad. I mean, that morning was a little rough. It was pretty rough, actually. I went down twice because I cross-rated both times because the track was just really rough and tacky. I mean, it wasn't tacky, but like it was slippery in the morning, but it was super, super rough, and people kept cross-riding a whole bunch. People weren't really holding their lines. The only people that were really holding their lines were the AB guys, and those guys were flying. So, whatever. Hold on. This annoys me. Anybody else? I'm sure you guys get annoyed by that. But no, so basically I had a rough morning practice. It happens sometimes. And that afternoon, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Just spent some time talking to family, hanging out with them, and, talking to them, letting them know what's going on in my life, stuff like that. I'm going to school to start welding soon, so that's nice. But no, this was the last thing I thought would happen today. Not like today, but like the day that it happened. So on this day, it was the last thing that I thought would happen. So, my race is coming up. I get ready to go out, get all my gear on and stuff like that. Well, a couple days prior, I had said to myself that I had never broken a bone. And I even said that a couple days prior to that. And every time I say it, I knock on wood because I don't want to break a bone. And I know some of you may not believe in that. Some of you may not, believe in, karma and stuff like that, which is understandable. I get that. But, honestly, in my personal experiences, I do believe that maybe not karma, but maybe a little bit of, self-regret leads you to thinking about that so much, or fear of something leads you to thinking about that thing so much that it ends up happening. So maybe not karma, but maybe too much thought, right? So I go out to line up, and, I'm feeling good, all that stuff, and I line up on the gate, and I get a horrible start. I heard my bike shift up. Well, it only did a half shift, so it stayed in neutral. It didn't shift up. It only did a half shift, so it stayed in neutral. So that kind of sucked, so I started off in neutral. Once I realized that, I just shifted right away and, moved on with it. So I started about, I think there was 8 kids in my class, or no. I think there was 5 or 6 in my class. I think there's about 8 kids, 9 kids on the gate, because they combined 2 classes together. So they let one class go before us, and then we went second. Well, I came out last in the whole shot. And then I cut on the inside because since I was behind everybody, I figured I'd just pull a Supercross 25 or Supercross 6 or Supercross 5, whatever game you play, where, you had to go start, but then you slam on the brakes and you cut far on the inside, and now you're in first place. So that's kind of what I did, but the start wasn't curved enough to do that. So I did do that. I cut on the inside and it put me in about third. And put me in third. And then coming down the straightaway, I passed another kid and put me in second. So I was doing pretty darn good. So, I'm going. I did 2 laps, and we got 2 more laps left. And on the second to last lap, which would be the third lap, I fell down. And I tried getting my bike up, but it was so heavy from how tacky the mud was and how much it was sticking at that time that it was like, it wasn't even the straightaways and stuff that was like tacky, muddy and stuff, because some of the photos you'd see there's dust flying around. It was really just the turns. The turns were still a little tacky down below in the ruts. So I naturally I fell. And what's the first thing you think about when you fall? No, this can't be happening. I'm not going to get last place, at least for me. I've gotten last place so many times. Actually, my first year and a half, maybe 2 years of racing, I got nothing but last place. Actually, it was more like my first year and a half. I got nothing but last place, and I would even get lapped. It was bad. I hated it. I hated it so much that anytime I go down, I say to myself, I am not getting last place. I don't care who's in my way. I'm at least getting top 5 or top 10, depending on how many people are in there or whatever. I'm not getting last place, though. So that's what I said. I said to myself, I'm not getting last place. I want to find out any way I can to make time. Well, there's a jump at Driven MX that I haven't hit for, a while, and I haven't hit it at all, actually. I was trying to avoid it a little bit, It's the big double that's kind of like more like a supercross double on a motocross track. If you ask me, I do think it's a little bit of a dumb idea, but whatever. They build the track how they want. That's fine. It's an obstacle. You got to overcome it, right? So I'm not going to complain about that. But, so, I went down, obviously. So I wasn't going to get last place. And that was in my mind. I'm not getting last place. That didn't happen. So the whole time I was going on, so they have a split option. You can either hit the double or you can go around it. And, there's a little area around it that you can go, because it's a split option. And the double, or after the double, there's a little roller. And if you go on the inside, there's 3 more little rollers. Split section, it's just a little curve and then 3 rollers. So, and the rollers are very small. They're like this wide, not even, and they're real small. So the first one's small, the second one's medium, and then the last one's large, if you want to call it that. I don't know. And so the whole time I've been taking that split option. Once I went down, I think about it this way. I'm like, well, all the really fast guys hit the double, and they make up a lot of time. They all hit the double and make up a lot of time. Jeremy Hand, he was there. He was doing it. Tony Usko, he was there. He was doing it. Making up plenty of time. So I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a try. We're going to see how this goes. I hadn't cleared it before. As my motocross says, always, if you don't jump it in practice, don't do it in the race. I should have listened. I mean, there's been plenty of jumps where I haven't jumped it in practice, but I jump it in the race. Just because practice, the track is either too wet and slippery, or it's not tacky enough, or like, I'm fine with dusty conditions, but a lot of people say it's not tacky enough or whatever. I really don't care, as long as it's not too wet and slippery. Well, there's a lot of the tracks that we go to when in the morning, they water it too much, and then they till it really deep, and it's too deep and too slippery, or too deep and way too tacky, like it's too grippy. You want to get that nice, perfect consistency. You see, motocross drivers are picky about how their dirt is, if you can't tell. Me, personally, I really don't care a whole lot, as long as it's a little tacky, or just completely dusty. I love riding in dust. A lot of people hate it because it's slick and blah, blah, blah. I'm used to it. That's why I like riding in it. But anyways, so I go to hit it. I'm coming out of the turn. I rail this rut. So I'm getting better at hitting ruts on the 250. I forgot I was on 250, was what happened. My mind was so worried about focusing and catching up. I completely forgot I was on 250. Just poof, out of the head. I So my 125, if I were to hit this jump, I'd have to be wide open and probably shift up another gear before hitting it to clear it. Yeah, I did that on the 250, wide open, shifted up another gear, and still wide open. Let's just say, I think if you're on a 450, you could triple that. Yeah. And maybe even on a 252, if you have like the right, upgrades and stuff, you could probably do it on a 252. So so like I said, you have the double, and then you got a little roller after that, right? You could triple that if you really wanted to. If you're on a 450 and you had a good suspension setup, or a 250 and you had a great suspension setup and some good mods that made the bike go faster, you could probably triple that, because I almost tripled it by accident. I'm not going to try and do it again, because I didn't land on the mound. I landed before it off to the side. So, whenever they tilt the track in the morning, they have this spot that they go through. So you have the split lane, and then you have the normal jump lane. Well, they don't till the jumps, because you can't really do that. So they tilled the outside, right? Well, the tiller is so wide that it cut into the landing of the jump a little bit, like the bottom of the landing of the jump. Well, anybody that was going on the outside or the jump, so you get the left lane and the right lane. The left lane isn't the jump, the right lane is the jump. So let's just put it that way. Anybody that was going on the left lane was, they were doing good, right? Anybody that was going on the right lane, they were still doing good. The little issue that was there is the tiller got in between both split lanes, right in the spot where you shouldn't cross over, because it's the landing of the double and where the mound is, right? It was a spot that was really soft. The dirt was really cakey, super, super deep. Nobody had gone through it. So it wasn't packed in. It was really, really deep. Super deep. When I tell you I landed, I didn't fall, I didn't wreck, nothing. I landed, my suspension used all that, and then my bike still sunk in a little bit because of how soft and deep that dirt was. And once I landed, I knew something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. I felt it, and I thought I just pulled a muscle or something like that, just a sharp pain from pulling a muscle. So I tried to get back on the track. Like, I landed. I didn't wreck. I didn't fall over. Nothing. I just landed and went off the track. I tried to get back on the track. I tried to put pressure on my ankle. I couldn't even stand on my bike or put pressure on it. So 3 of my friends, Dallas and his kids, were flagging. Dallas watched the whole thing happen. He got to watch it from a third-person view and just watch everything that happened. And then my friend Colton and Tristan, which are his kids, Colton was on the tabletop after the turn from the split lane. There's a turn, and there's a tabletop after that. He was on that tabletop. And that's when I tried to get back on the track. I couldn't. I just couldn't put weight on it. So I just pulled off, and he's like, "You good?" And I'm like, "Something's wrong. Something's really wrong." And then my friend Tristan was in the rollers that are right before the split section. So you have the rollers, a turn, and then the split section. My other friend was in the rollers, Tristan. And he sat there and he put a thumbs up. He's like, "You good?" And I sat there and I was going down. I was holding my leg out like Eli Tomac at 2023 Denver Supercross, or I think it was 22 or 23. Just holding my leg out it was 23. I was like, nope, something's wrong. So then there's people coming by the straightaway where I have to get off the track. So I stop for a second, and then I go. I get back. I go to hop off my bike, lay it down the best I can without falling over. And then I turn around and lay down on my back. I was laying down like this with my hands behind my head and stuff like that. And they were like, what's wrong, Caden, what's wrong? Well, my dad, he saw me pull off, and he's like, Caden's pulling off, something's wrong. So I laid there, and they're like, what's wrong, tell us what's wrong. And I am very, very blessed to have the family and the people around me that I do. To those of you that see this video, Dad, Mom, Nana, you know, Rich. I hate to say these names out loud in public, but you guys and Jen and my brother's girlfriend, Karen, you guys are what helped me keep going. And honestly, in that moment right there, I was actually a little scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little scared. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to ride again because, sometimes you can get these ankle injuries and these leg injuries, and especially the ankle and the leg, where it gets hard to come back from that sometimes. And I've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen people have these ankle injuries and these leg injuries and stuff like that, and they never be able to ride again because their joints are all messed up or their growth plates got messed up or something like that. I'm not fully grown yet, so my growth plates could have been messed up. And, just in that moment, I needed people around me to just help keep me in positive mood somewhat. And my brother, his girlfriend, my dad, my mom, my Nana, Rich, I thank you. I'm not getting ready to cry. I'm just trying to find a way to say this, but thank you. Thank you to you guys for sticking there with me even when I broke my ankle. Thank you for supporting me and helping me do the sport I love even when I broke my ankle. And most importantly, thank the man above, the Lord, the man above. I know this sounds like I kind of threw it in there, but sometimes I do feel like I'm a little far from the Lord, especially when we commit the same sins as sinners, but I'm not going to get into that. That's for a whole different conversation. But as you guys know, I am strong with my faith, and I am very big on family. I love my family. My family is everything. But, the Lord, I feel like, did this to kind of tell me to stop, give a break. Because I was so worried about motocross and so worried about getting podium finishes and blah, blah, blah this whole time, and I never really took any time to think about God. And that was his way of saying, you need a break. It's like, come find me in that break. And that's what I did. I went to motocross camp with a broken ankle. So, anyways, continuing on. So they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, no, I think I broke my ankle. Well, I love you, Dad, but no offense. Anytime I say I broke my ankle, he's like, no, you probably didn't break your ankle. It's probably just in your head. Well, this time it wasn't in my head. A lot of time it's either in my head or it's just a really bad sprain. It was neither this time. It was actually broke. So they took my boot off, and for some reason, the boot on the ankle that was broken came off easier than the boot on the ankle that wasn't broken. I don't know how that works, but whatever. So they took this one off, and they saw it was swelling really badly already, so they put some ice around it, rag, all that stuff. And I could not be more thankful for them knowing what they're doing. Because like I said, my family is everything, but also having them support me and all that is amazing. I love it. And, sometimes I have my moments of aggressiveness and stuff like that where I can be a little bit cocky. And we all can. That's just part of growing up, right? We do that with our grandparents, our parents, everybody. It's just a part of growing up. So, I was just really confused and shocked. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of scared. And over time, I started calming down. I stopped crying a little bit. I did cry a little bit, but I stopped crying, and I'm like, all right, I hope it's a level 3 sprain, but I've never had a sprain this bad where I can't ride after, or actually I have had a sprain that was that bad. In my wrist, 2 years prior, literally, almost to the day, not 2 years, a year prior, almost to the day, I sprained my wrist, and it looked like I broke my wrist. It was a level 3 sprain. That is worse, arguably worse than a broken bone. Only because of the healing time. It has been over a year now, and it is still not completely healed. I still have movement and stuff like that. I can still ride. But there are times where, if the weather's bad out or something like that, or, if it's just cold, especially when it's cold, my wrist doesn't have as much movement and flexion as it normally does. So it's still not completely healed from that. But, I don't think it ever really will be fully. But, I've had a lot of wrist injuries, and I've hit my elbows a lot too. So I'm pretty used to that stuff. But I like I said, I was scared, all that. And, we went through all this, taking my boots off, blah, blah, blah. I laid in the back of my dad's truck I laid in the back seat, laid over for a little, around 15, 20 minutes. And then, well, my dad's like, hey, look, I still got to put some of the stuff away. You want to go to the urgent care with your mom? And I said, that's fine. I just want to find out what's wrong. So I got in her car, hobbled my way over to her car, got in her car, and we went to urgent care. And we went in there, and I said, pretty sure I broke my ankle. I tried putting pressure on it whenever I got out of the car to see if I could limp to the door. I couldn't even put my foot down at all. The moment my toes touched the ground, because my foot was hanging like this, the moment my toes touched the ground like this, I instantly retracted up because of how much pain there was. So we went into the urgent care, told them about it. She brought out a wheelchair for me to use, and I was sitting in the wheelchair, and they took x-rays and stuff like that. It was really hard to bend my ankle the way they wanted me to, so it did hurt quite a bit. So yeah, and they took x-rays and stuff like that, and the doctor came back and he was like, so we have some good news, but we also have some bad news. So prior, whenever he came in, he's like, if it's a level 3 sprain, it'll probably take a little over a year to heal. And I'm like, yep, I'm well aware. I had one on my wrist. It's still kind of healing. He said, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, I hope it's a broken bone because it takes less time to heal. And you'll be back on the bike better and stronger sooner. And you'll also not have to worry about as long as recovery time. So, I'm like, okay, sweet, let's do it. And I sat there, and after he left, I looked at my dad. I'm like, I want it to be a sprain so I can ride still, but I don't want it to be a sprain. I want it to be a break because it would heal faster. So after that, he gets the x-ray results, and he comes back in, and he's like, goodish, baddish news. You've broke your ankle in 2 spots. Yep. So I didn't break 1 bone, I broke 2. And if I can, I'll pop up an x-ray or whatnot. I'm not sure if I have one, but if I can, I will. That hit me a little bit. Never had a broken bone. I've never... This sport, it's not if, it's when. It's a guarantee in this sport. I just didn't think it would be this early in my career. But, I've met plenty of people that have broken their bones the first year that they're riding. So, honestly, I think I'm blessed to go this far and make it this far as I have without any broken bones. So, I think I'm blessed for that. So, after that, they put me in the ankle wrap. I'll pop up a picture right here of what my ankle looked like. They said not to put pressure on it, but they gave me a walking piece on the bottom. It makes no sense to me, but whatever. And then later that day we got home, and another doctor called us, and he was like, hey, is your dad around? And I'm like, no, my dad's not around, but, I'm right here. And he was like, oh, well, I kind of have to speak to your dad about this. I said, okay, let me get him 1 moment. And he's like, okay, well, you don't have to get him now, just have him give me a call back. I'm like, he's coming in the door right now, just give him a minute. So... little did I know it wasn't my dad coming in the door, it was his girlfriend, Jen. And so she went and got my dad, handed him the phone. And the doctor was like, so my dad went back outside to unload some stuff. And the doctor, this wasn't the actual doctor, this wasn't the orthopedic, this was the urgent care guy. He made it worst case scenario. He's like, he's going to need like 1 or 2 surgeries. He's going to need some, heavy antibiotics. He's going to have to get 1 or 2 surgeries. He's going to have to be off the bike for a while and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, the first thing that goes through my mind is no. Just no. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe it happened. No. And I don't want surgery. I really don't. I know someday I may have to have surgery. But right now, I don't want it. I don't. My dad tore his ACL when he was the same age as me. And he's described what it felt like to me. And even to this day, whenever I ask him, how did it feel? He still says the same thing. And he doesn't really give me a whole lot of detail, which tells me it's hard to describe the amount of pain that he was in after the surgery and then pain meds wore off. He said it hurt a lot, like crazy. So I'm like, the first thing that goes to my mind is like surgery. No, I don't want to do this. Blah blah blah. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, how nervous am I gonna be? Like, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna put me under? Are they gonna put me to sleep? All these thoughts are going through my mind. And at some point, I just stopped thinking about them. So the next day, we had scheduled an appointment with my doctor, or was my doctor, but I had changed doctors. So we had to schedule an appointment with an orthopedic doctor. I'm not sure if the doctor will see this video, but thank you so much, because, you know, you've helped me through this a little bit just by being there and telling me and keeping me updated. Like, thank you for being, you know, people need to stop being mad at their doctors when they tell them something and be thankful. Thankful it's not worse. Be thankful that you still can walk whenever it's healed, right? Be thankful that you could still move around, right? That's the things that we gotta think about here. So, 25-minute long video so far. I'm gonna try not to make it a 30-minute video. I'm sorry for the long video. I'm very, very sorry. But we're gonna try and get through. So, anyways, I'm telling this whole story. So, you know, get to the doctor. He's like, all right, we're gonna take you some gravity x-rays. I think they were. So, it's not actual, they don't use a whole lot of radiation. It's just, they put your ankle or your foot on, like they have a pad, and you put your foot on top of it, and your foot, you let the gravity hold your foot down, and it'll flex the muscles and stuff to show brakes, shows brakes easier. And, so they showed it, and he's like, yep, you got 2 broken bones. He's like, he didn't say anything about surgery. He didn't say a word about surgery. Thank the Lord. He's like, so pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you in the casts, and we're gonna have you in that for 3 to 4 weeks, or 3 weeks, and then we're gonna see where it goes from there. So they put me in the cast. Mind you, I'm still super swollen at this point. So I go a week with this cast, and then the next week, that Friday, so it'll be 2 weeks. 2 weeks in, on that Friday, I had to get another cast put on because of how loose my first cast was, that the pain was unbearable because I didn't have anything pushing the bones back together, and I had to take a lot of Tylenol and ibuprofen. I'm just going to tell you that right now. A lot of Tylenol, a lot of ibuprofen, still hurt. Anyways, so I get a new cast put on, and then I go to motocross camp. And halfway through motocross camp, I can start walking on it. I'm feeling good. I can start walking on it. It still hurts a little bit, but whatever. You know, I'm just happy to walk. Don't mind my hair. All right, I know. Hat head, look like a peacock. So, you know, motocross camp gets by, and that Monday I had my checkup. And check in with him. He's like, bone's healing, but the other bone isn't. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, the other bone is technically healing, but he's like, it might be so far out of a break that it may not even heal. He's like, it may just stay there. I'm like, does that mean I'll need surgery? Like, what does that mean? He's like, don't worry about it. It'll be completely fine. You won't have to worry about it. I said, okay, that's good. So if that is the case, I'm sure I will have to get surgery for that at some point. But right now, he said I'll be fine. But anyways, so then he's like, if you've been walking on it at camp, we'll put you in a cast. Or he said, I'm going to give you 2 options. He said, we'll put you in a walking cast. So it's basically the same cast I was putting in. They just add extra padding onto the bottom, and you can walk in it. And then he also said, or put you in a boot. The moment he said boot, I said boot. I'm going to boot all the way. I'm sick and tired of having to stay in a hard cast. I hate it. So, put me in a boot. And here we are. I'm in a boot. I've been in this boot for about 2 weeks now. My next checkup is next week. Actually, today's Wednesday, so, yeah, or not Wednesday. No, today's Thursday. So exactly a week from today. Maybe even 20 some odd hours from today. Or not 20 some odd. I'm an idiot. Okay. However many hours a week is, take a couple hours off of that. So I only have like 6 days and 20 something hours, right? I don't know. I know my appointment's in the morning, and then at the time I'm making this video, it's past the time my appointment would be. I'm just trying to be technical. I do that all the time. But yes, I'm in a boot now. I've been in this for about 2 weeks, and I get my checkup on this upcoming Thursday. So not this Thursday, not today, but next Thursday. And he said that hopefully, so whenever I got this put on, he said, and then we'll come in for a checkup on 3 weeks, and then hopefully whenever you come in for that checkup, we could just put you in an ankle brace, and we'll send you on your way. And I'm hoping that's what we do. Get put in an ankle brace and send me on my way. I've also been using
So a massive thank you to my brother for getting this photo.
TheraBand.
But if you look closely in this photo, you can see me holding the throttle
really
wide open because I realize I'm about to hit the ground. And right there, that's me basically just panic grabbing to try and get the tire to spin more to bring my rear end down and my front end up more. So that way I take less impact when I hit the ground. But obviously, as you can tell, that didn't work out very well.
So I'm trying to do some whenever I wake up and some before I go to bed. If I don't do it when I wake up, I do it before I go to bed. That's what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, that's the story of the broken ankle. And I'll pop up some photos right here. Throughout the video. And, yeah. So, 30-minute video. I am so sorry for this long video, guys. I really am. I did not want it to be this long. But I do want to thank you guys so much for your support. I want to thank my family and my friends and everybody that was there to help support me. Dallas, Tristan, Colton, thank you so much. Mom, Dad, Jen, Nick, Karen, Nana, Rich. Trying to think of everybody else that was there. I think that was it. But thank you guys so much. And most importantly, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be here. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am. And for those of you that don't believe in Jesus, I recommend that you give him a try. Or at least try and pray. Because even the sarcastic prayers that you make just because somebody tells you to, he hears those. And those matter. Even if it's sarcastic. So, without further ado, I'm going to close out this video with thank you everyone for your support. Thank you for everything that you guys have done. Thank you for waiting a while. And we should be back on the bike within, say, a month. Maybe 3 weeks. 3 weeks after. We'll see how it goes. But hopefully we get back on the bike within a month. So I can at least spend some time with my friends riding before winter. Yeah. But thank you, everyone. God bless you all. I'll see you guys in the next one.